It was a rainy afternoon when I found the dusty box in the attic. My grandmother had passed away recently, and my family was cleaning out her old things. The box was filled with old photographs, letters, and finally, a family tree drawn on yellowed paper. As I studied the tree, I felt a sense of pride. I could see my family's history stretching back for generations. But then, a name caught my eye, Evelyn Blackwood. I had heard whispers about her in the family. She was known for making a pact with the devil long ago. They said she had sold her soul for power, and that her spirit still haunted our family. My heart raced. I brushed off the thought. It was just a story, right? But the uneasy feeling lingered. That night, I went to bed but couldn't shake the feeling of dread. My dreams were filled with shadows and whispers, and I woke up in a cold sweat. The next morning, strange things began to happen. I was in the kitchen making breakfast when I heard a loud crash. I rushed to see what had happened and found that a picture of my grandmother had fallen off the wall. The glass shattered everywhere, and I felt a chill run down my spine. Just an accident, I muttered to myself, trying to calm my nerves. But the uneasy feeling only grew stronger. As the days passed, more strange occurrences happened. My brother, Jake, claimed he saw a dark figure in the hallway late at night. My sister, Lily, started having nightmares about a woman with pale skin and dark hair. One evening, I gathered my siblings in the living room. "Something is off in this house," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "It all started when I found that family tree." Lily shivered. "Is it about that ancestor, Evelyn?" "Yeah," I said, looking at Jake. "Do you guys remember any stories about her?" Jake sighed, looking uneasy. "I remember Grandma saying we should never speak her name. She believed Evelyn brought bad luck." "Maybe we should just forget about it," Lily said, her voice trembling. But I couldn't shake the feeling that we needed to know more. That night, I decided to dig deeper into our family history. I spent hours researching Evelyn Blackwood. I discovered that she had lived in our town over a century ago. People said she was beautiful but had a dark side. After making the pact, she was said to have gained wealth and power, but strange things started happening to those around her. The townsfolk whispered about her during the night. They claimed she could summon storms and shadows at will. Eventually, she vanished, but the stories remained, and many believed she had cursed her bloodline. Feeling brave, I visited the local library the next day to search for more information. I found old newspapers detailing strange events surrounding her. People disappeared, crops failed, and fires broke out. The last article mentioned a desperate search for her in the woods, but no one ever found her. That evening, I shared my findings with Jake and Lily. "We need to do something," I said, my heart racing. "This curse seems to be coming back. What if we try to break it?" Jake suggested. "There must be a way. Maybe we can find a way to confront her spirit," I replied, feeling a mix of fear and determination. We decided to gather supplies to perform a small ritual, hoping to put an end to the curse. We bought candles, herbs, and a small bowl for water. We set up in the living room. Our hearts pounding with both fear and hope. That night, we lit the candles and sat in a circle. I took a deep breath and began reading from the book I found in the library. "We call upon the spirit of Evelyn Blackwood. We wish to understand you, to end the suffering you have brought upon our family." As I spoke, the room grew colder. Shadows flickered on the walls, and I felt a heavy presence in the air. Suddenly, the candles flickered violently, and a gust of wind blew through the room, snuffing them out. Lily screamed, and Jake grabbed my arm tightly. "What was that?" he whispered, his voice shaking. "Evelyn," I said, trying to keep calm. "We mean no harm. We just want to know why this is happening." The room fell silent, and for a moment, I thought nothing would happen. But then, a shadow began to form in the corner of the room. It took the shape of a woman, her face hidden in darkness. "Who dares to summon me?" Her voice echoed, cold and distant. We're your descendants, I said, my voice trembling. We want to know why our family is cursed. What do you want? The figure stepped forward, and I saw her pale face and dark hair. Her eyes were hollow, filled with rage and sadness. I want to be free, she whispered, her voice filled with pain. I made a mistake, and now my soul is trapped in this darkness. What can we do? Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Release me, she said, her voice now filled with desperation. You must confront the truth of my pact. Only then will the curse be broken. I felt a surge of bravery. What was your pact? What did you do? I was young and foolish, she said, her voice trembling. I wanted power and wealth. I didn't care about the cost. I made a deal without understanding the consequences. Now I am bound to this place, unable to move on. Please, tell us how to help you, I urged, my heart racing. We want to end this curse. She paused, her expression softening. You must face the darkness within your own hearts. Only then can you release me. It is my shame that holds me here. I took a deep breath and looked at Jake and Lily. We have to confront our fears. We can't let this darkness control us anymore. We closed our eyes and thought about our fears. I felt the weight of my own insecurities, the fear of failure, of losing my family, of being trapped in a life I didn't want. I spoke my fears aloud, feeling lighter as I did. I fear I will never be good enough, I admitted. But I won't let that fear control me. Jake and Lily followed, sharing their fears too. As we spoke, I felt the room shift, the air growing lighter. Evelyn watched us, her shadow flickering with each word we spoke. You are brave, she said, her voice softer. You have faced your darkness. Now, I can finally be free. The shadows around her began to dissolve, and a bright light started to fill the room. Evelyn's face transformed, no longer filled with anger but with peace. Thank you, she said, her voice warm. You have set me free. With those final words, the light engulfed her, and the room filled with a warm glow. As the light faded, the heavy feeling in the air disappeared, leaving behind a sense of calm. The next morning, I woke up feeling different. The weight of the curse was gone, replaced by a feeling of hope. I shared what happened with Jake and Lily, and they smiled, relieved. From that day on, our family felt lighter. The strange occurrences stopped, and our home felt safe again. We decided to keep Evelyn's story alive, not as a curse but as a lesson about the dangers of desire and the power of facing our fears. As we moved forward, I realized that confronting the darkness was a part of growing stronger. We had faced the past together and emerged unscathed, ready to build a brighter future. Rain poured down hard, soaking my old jacket as I walked down the empty streets. My mind raced with thoughts of bills I couldn't pay, eviction notices piling up, and annoying calls from collectors. Each step felt heavy, like my money problems were pulling me down. Damn it, I said to myself, kicking a soda can. How did I end up like this? I turned a corner and found myself in a dark alley, lit only by a flickering streetlight. Shadows moved on the brick walls, and a chill ran down my spine. As I walked deeper into the alley, I saw a figure leaning against the wall. Hey there, he called out, his voice smooth. You look like you could use some help. I squinted through the rain. The man looked sharp in his nice clothes, even in this gloomy place. His eyes sparkled with a strange light that made me uneasy. Who are you? I asked, trying to sound tough. A friend, he said, stepping closer. I've been watching you. You're in a tough spot, aren't you? I hesitated, mixing curiosity with suspicion. What do you mean? I can help you, he said. I can make your money problems go away. But there's a price, of course. Isn't there always? I scoffed, crossing my arms. What do you want? Just a small favor in return, he said with a charming smile. You won't even have to think about it. I felt drawn to him, my desperation clouding my judgment. What's the favor? He leaned in closer, whispering, all I ask is for your soul. I stepped back, half laughing. You must be kidding. My soul? What is this, a bad movie? No joke, he said, his face serious. In exchange for a fortune, I need a part of you. Think of it as a promise. I thought about it. My debts felt like a heavy weight, and here was a chance, a spark of hope. How much are we talking about? $100,000, he said, and my heart raced. Enough to clear everything and start fresh. 100,000? I repeated, my greed growing. What's the catch? The catch is that you'll have to give me a piece of your spirit, he replied, his voice calm. You won't notice it at first, but soon you'll see what you've lost. Fine, I said, feeling reckless. Let's do it. He smiled, showing perfect teeth. Good choice. Just sign here. He pulled out a piece of paper and a pen. I hesitated, but the thought of being free from my debts pushed me forward. I signed my name, and the moment I finished, a cold shiver ran through me. The next morning, I woke up in my apartment, sunlight shining through the window. I felt lighter, almost happy. My phone buzzed, and I stared in shock as a message popped up, deposit, $100,000, no way, I gasped, staring at the screen. This can't be real. I raced to the bank, where the teller confirmed the deposit. You're all set, Mr. Daniels. Congratulations on your good fortune. Thank you. I said, barely able to contain my excitement. As I walked out, a small part of me felt uneasy, days turned into weeks, and I enjoyed my new wealth. I paid off my debts, bought nice clothes, and even went on a fun vacation. But with each passing day, I felt something change inside me. Are you okay? My friend Sarah asked one evening as we ate dinner. You seem different. I'm fine, I replied, brushing off her worry. But I could feel it, the emptiness creeping in, replacing my joy with dullness. Then came the nightmares. They started with vague shadows in my dreams but quickly grew worse. I found myself in a dark place, surrounded by whispering voices, the man's voice echoing in my mind. One night, I decided to confront the man from the alley. I returned to the same spot where we met, feeling tense. You! I shouted into the darkness. What have you done to me? The shadows moved, and he appeared, looking amused. You're feeling the effects of your deal, I see. What do you mean? I got what I wanted. I yelled, anger and fear rising within me. Yes, but every gift has a cost. Your happiness, your excitement, they're now mine to control. I want my soul back. I demanded, fear coursing through me. He chuckled softly, a sound that sent chills down my spine. And what will you give me in exchange? You've already lost so much. Anything. I'll do anything. I pleaded, feeling desperate. Very well, he said, tilting his head. But remember, once you've made a deal with the devil, it's hard to undo. I stood there, shaking, thinking about my next move. What do I have to do? Embrace the darkness, he replied. Become one with your fears. Only then can you get back what you've lost. No! I shouted, backing away in fear. I refuse. Then you'll remain my puppet, stuck in this empty life, he said, his voice echoing. With a surge of courage, I took a step back. No! I won't let you control me. Suddenly, the shadows twisted around us, and I felt a new energy inside me. You don't own me. I screamed, feeling powerful. The man's smile faded as he watched me, confusion crossing his face. You cannot break the bond. I can, and I will. I shouted, using all my strength. In that moment, a bright light burst from within me, pushing back the darkness. The shadows shrieked, and the man's face turned from amusement to anger. No! You can't escape me. But I felt free as the darkness began to fade. I reclaim my soul. I yelled. Feeling the weight lift off me, with one last scream, the man vanished into the shadows, leaving me alone in the alley, breathless and shaking. The next morning, I woke up in my apartment, sunlight pouring in. The emptiness was gone, replaced by a fresh sense of purpose. I looked at my phone and saw that the money was gone, but I felt strangely happy. I can start over, I whispered to myself, determination filling me. From that day on, I promised to live a life free from desperation, knowing I had faced the devil and come out stronger. As I stepped into the light, I knew I would never forget the price of my wish, but I had finally gotten my soul back. When I moved into my new house, I felt excited. It was old, with creaky floors and big windows, and I loved its charm. But soon, I began to hear strange noises coming from the basement. At first, I thought it was just my imagination. Maybe it was the pipes or the wind. I tried to ignore it, but the whispers grew louder each night. They sounded like soft voices calling my name. Come here. Come here. One night, I lay in bed, wide awake, listening to the whispers. My heart raced as I tried to convince myself it was nothing. It's just the house settling, I whispered to myself, but deep down, I felt something wasn't right. The next night, I decided to investigate. I grabbed a flashlight and slowly made my way to the basement door. The air was cold, and I felt a chill run down my spine. I hesitated, but the whispers drew me in. As I opened the door, the hinges creaked loudly, echoing through the dark hallway. I turned on my flashlight, its beam slicing through the darkness. I stepped down the stairs, each step creaking under my weight. The basement was damp and filled with old boxes and furniture. The whispers faded, but I felt a presence. Then, I saw it, a shadow flickering at the corner of my eye. I turned quickly, but there was nothing there. Just my mind playing tricks, I thought. Over the next few nights, I tried to learn more about the house. I searched online and discovered it had a strange history. The previous owner had vanished without a trace, and the locals said the house was haunted. I felt a mix of fear and curiosity. I had to know what was going on. So, I asked my neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, who had lived nearby for years. "Ah, yes," she said, shaking her head. "That house has seen its share of troubles. Some say it's cursed. I wouldn't go down to the basement if I were you." Her warning only fueled my curiosity. I felt like I had to confront whatever was down there. I can't let fear control me, I told myself. One night, I gathered my courage. Armed with my flashlight, I descended into the basement once more. The whispers returned, louder this time, swirling around me like a cold wind. "Come here. Come here. Who's there?" I called out, trying to sound brave. My voice echoed off the walls, but there was no answer. I felt a shiver run down my spine. As I moved deeper into the basement, I saw the shadow again. It danced just out of reach, always avoiding the light. "Show yourself!" I shouted, anger mixing with fear. Suddenly, the room grew colder, and the shadows thickened. A figure began to form in front of me, slowly taking shape. It was a faint outline of a person, their features blurred and indistinct. "Why are you here?" I asked, my voice shaking. The figure did not respond at first. Instead, it pointed to an old trunk sitting in the corner. I walked toward the trunk, my heart pounding. As I approached, I felt a sense of dread wash over me. I opened the trunk, and inside, I found old photographs and letters, all belonging to the missing owner. Suddenly, the whispers grew louder. "Help me! Help me!" I looked back at the shadow. "You need help?" I asked, feeling a strange connection to the spirit. The figure nodded, and I realized it was trying to tell me something important. As I read the letters, I learned that the owner had been trapped in the house. unable to leave. The whispers were cries for help, seeking someone to hear their story. "I can help you," I promised the shadow. I spent the next few days researching how to help restless spirits. I spoke to a local medium, who told me I needed to perform a simple ritual to set the spirit free. On the night of the ritual, I returned to the basement, feeling both scared and determined. I lit candles and arranged the photographs around me. "I want to help you find peace," I said aloud. As I spoke the words the medium taught me, the air thickened, and the temperature dropped. The shadow began to swirl around me, growing brighter with each word I said. "Let go of your pain," I shouted. "You are free." The shadow brightened, and the whispers transformed into a gentle voice. "Thank you. Thank you." I felt a wave of energy wash over me, and the shadow slowly faded away, leaving behind a feeling of warmth and peace. The air grew still, and for the first time, the basement felt calm. I stood there, breathing deeply, relieved that I had helped the spirit find peace. I knew the house would never feel the same, but I also knew it was now a safe space. From that day on, the whispers stopped. I spent more time in the house, turning it into a home. I often thought about the spirit I had helped and felt grateful for the experience. I had faced my fears and learned the truth about the whispers in the dark. The house, once filled with sadness, now felt warm and inviting. I realized that sometimes, the scariest places could lead to the most important truths. As I settled into my new life, I promised to always listen to the whispers of the past and the voices of those who needed help.